Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Confidence Culture Conversations. Coach Kirubai, how are you doing?
I'm good, but not so good with my stomach. I got to be honest with you. I'm seem to be a little uncomfortable. But you know what? We the show must go on.
The show must go on. It must go on, but if we are totally uncomfortable, we raise our hands and say, But yes, we will go on.
No, we will go for the kill today because we got to kill fear.
We have to kill
Fear
fear.
is killing a lot of people.
So, before we go into this conversation, how was your weekend?
Was busy this weekend, so busy that it was unbelievably busy, but a very productive weekend. So I was at the Unstoppable conference by Dr. Olivia, which
Mhm.
was a great conference and it was good. And after which I had to attend another event on the same day. And then I had a whole day of walking on Sunday, 4 hours of walking from Green Park right up to Covent Garden.
Oh, wow.
So I was super, super, super tired on Monday, but it was good because I explored London, looked at all the Christmas decoration, and I was, my inner child came out. I was like a child getting candies, but it was fun. It was
Was,
fun,
was
Elizabeth.
the walk planned? Was it intentional?
It was very intentional. I walked with another person, and she wanted to see the lights. She wanted to see the decoration. So I had company, good company. We walked slowly but surely. We by the time I reached Covent Garden, I was like beat, but good exercise, and the weather was beautiful.
Mm,
So I can't complain.
that's good. That's good. But you know what? I think walking in London is actually not bad at all. And
Yeah,
because you walk while seeing sights or while seeing things, it doesn't feel like you're walking for such a long distance or such a long
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So yeah, it's and you know what? There's a lot to see. There's a lot to see.
There's
So
so much to see, especially London is so pretty during the festive season.
mm.
The hotels, every hotel I saw, I went in, took pictures. I was like a kid in a candy store, Elizabeth, reliving my childhood. But you know what? Who cares? Let the little child, let the little kid inside of me jump out.
You know what, Kirubai, we're talking about fear today, right? And some people might say, oh, what will people think of me doing all of this or doing that? But actually, being able to just be yourself and be in the moment and enjoy yourself, and whether that's, tapping into the little child inside of you, or it's just actually you just having a good time, then so be it. So well
So
done.
what happened? What did you do over the weekend? You must have done some exciting things. I saw your social media posts. Please do tell.
Oh my word. So first of all, right, last week Tuesday was like the eve to my birthday. And then we had my birthday on Wednesday. And thank you so much, Kirubai, to you and to Robert for the gift for afternoon tea because me and Tunji thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm
So that
so
was really
glad.
nice. And what did I do on the weekend? So on the weekend, we jumped on a coach, I think it was, went to Birmingham, got a train to Warsaw, and we joined Dr. Josie Benjamin, and their children, Jael and
Also, as in Poland.
Jer. No, Warsaw as in Birmingham.
Okay.
Someone else thought so we told people at church we're going to be in Warsaw. And they thought we were in Poland, but actually, no, we were in Birmingham. It's just
Oh, there is a
Warsaw,
Warsaw there.
Warsaw is on the outskirts of Birmingham. So that's
Okay.
where we were. And we were there for a worship and prayer night, which
Mm.
was really, it was lovely. It was a great atmosphere. I was on duty because I had to open up the night with prayer and I had to MC for the evening. Which, you
Mm.
know, I love. Give me the microphone and I'm good. I'm having a good time. So we enjoyed ourselves. We danced, we prayed, we worshipped. It was great. It was such a lovely
Mm.
time. It was such a lovely time.
Lovely.
Um, and
Mm.
then we after that night, we went down to Bristol and spent Sunday in Bristol and then came back to London on Sunday evening. So yeah, we've been globetrotting.
And you've been a busy bee, and I've been a busy bee, and we all are busy bees. This start December, it gets very busy.
But you know what? It gets busy and then it goes quiet, right? So we switch off at some point. We're not busy 24/7. And I think that's the key thing is make the most of the high moments, but also make sure that in the midst of that you're getting time to rest and you're also inserting like days where you just chill. So for example, like yesterday I didn't do much. Yesterday I had some coaching. I had a 2 hour coaching session. And then I met up with two lovely ladies whom I should introduce you to one of these days. One of them is a youth pastor in East London, and the other lady, Katie. Katie works for the London Project, whom I think at the start of this year got connected with, and
Mm.
I've been dipping into what they're doing, which has been really good. And actually, I signed up to some gospel coaching through their organization, and we've been doing like coaching practice. And
Mm.
yesterday, the our supervisor literally said, I think I'm ready to sign you up, ladies. It was me and another lady from Budapest. So I'm excited because I will officially be a gospel coach. So yeah, exciting times. But yeah, that was my weekend slash beginning of my week, and on to another busy week. Today we had a Christmas trail for Janaya's class, which was really lovely because her school is not a it's not a faith school. So it was nice that they got to go to the local church, and just learn a bit about the Christmas story. So that was good.
Mm. Wonderful.
So yeah, right. We
It's
should get into
Christmas
this
time
conversation.
in the city.
Yes. Right. Let's get into this conversation. So today we are talking about fear.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about fear. So we're gonna have this conversation. And if you are joining us, please, we would love to hear from you in the comment section. Um, let's hear from you. Let's hear where you're joining us from, but also let's hear, anything that you have to say about fear. How have you overcome fear in past times? Is there a fear that you are trying to deal with right now, or is there a narrative that you need to break to help you break free from fear? Now, I'm going to hand over to you, Coach Kirubai, so you can gently lead us into this conversation.
You know, the start of this conversation, I shared about my inner child coming forth, and children, babies, they kind of throw them into the water, swimming pool.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Without fear, inevitably the baby starts paddling.
Mm.
I saw a documentary recently, and because the baby is covered in the mother's womb with the water, so
Mm.
it has instinctively, when you throw him or her into the water, they start paddling,
Wow.
and they do not see the surroundings. They don't care about how wide, how deep the pool is,
Mm.
because they still think they are in the comfort of the mother's womb. And we, if you throw me into a deep end of the pool, I would be screaming blue murder. So this analogy I'm a child with the comfort of the mother thrown into the water. It's a beautiful expression
Mm,
of how, when we are born, there are a lot of things that we are not fearful of.
mm,
But yet, as we grow older, from, fear is inevitably, we absorb fear from our surroundings. Absorb fear from what we hear, what people speak, from nature, and then we have people around us putting fear into us. So when we are born, because we are women of faith, we are
mm,
always connecting to God. So God brings forth us without fear. Yes, sometimes as babies, they go through trauma and in the mother's womb and all. I believe there is some element of discomfort for the baby, but
mm.
I think I must, if somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but we do not, when we are born, there is no fear attached to us. Fear is something that we had picked up over the years. So, Coach Elizabeth, what do you think about that?
I was reflecting on something as you were speaking. Good evening, Minister Folu. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Keep up the good work that you are doing, evangelizing in the streets of Walthamstow. Keep it up, sir. Keep it up, sir. So when we talk about like babies and adults, so one of the things I like to reflect on, so you know me, I love talking about like stepping out to pursue your dream. And when we look at the example of a child with a dream, most children have loads of dreams. They want to be this. Like if you ask Janaya today, what do you want to be when you grow up? She has a long list of things she wants to be. So when we are kids, we're not scared to dream. We have ambition. But
Mm,
as we go through life, we start to lose the ambition because we start to allow fear to creep in to the point that we're scared. People will judge us. We're scared of what people will say. We're scared that we might fail. Yet, when you're a child, you're like, yeah, I can do it. Like, you have this dream of, I want to be a fireman. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a dentist. I want to be all these things, and you see it like when I go into schools. If you speak to kids who are probably in about year 10, year 11, so that's probably about 15, 16 years old, there's like a shyness, there's a fear about them. But when you're speaking to like year 7, so these are like 11-year-olds, they're excited. It's almost like there's no fear. But something happens over the years that people then go into their shell. These kids tend to go into their shell. And I think for human beings, it happens that when, whether or not it's because we're starting to process a lot more. And so
mm,
every little thing that happens, we process it and it forms a narrative in our minds.
mm,
But then when you're a child, like there's a blank canvas.
mm,
And if you think about it, like when kids are growing up and they're crawling, they're doing this, they're trying to find their way, most times they're just walking into anything, and it's us as adults who are going, no, 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 stop, no, 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 stop, never touch that, don't do this. But prior to that, they're just doing their thing. So our environment can form a narrative in our mind. The things that we are hearing can form a narrative. The things we are seeing can form a narrative, to the point that fear starts to creep in.
it's like children and darkness, and I know I've seen umpteen times, always they say, oh, there is a bougie man there, don't go.
Mm.
And then children fear darkness. So sometimes we as adults, we instill the fear unconsciously over to our children and we transfer that fear.
Mm.
And talking about transferring fear, going back to the story of babies, if a mother carries the child with anxiety, the baby receives that anxiety. If
Mm.
the mother has got a lot of fear issues, the child also receives the fear. And if the child is receiving good things from the mother, it also receives good things.
Mm.
So a lot of things happens in the womb, and we pay a lot of we don't pay enough attention to
Yeah.
how the mother transfers these things to the child, to the baby, to the fetus. So I'm saying the starting point, because as we are talking about fear and how it enters into a child, can also mean it enters from transfers from mother to baby.
Mm.
The good, the bad, the ugly is transferred.
Wow. But you know what, Kirubai, I really agree with that because you can see it a lot in how we speak as well. So
Mhm.
because we fear something, we'll tell our children, we'll be speaking it, not realizing that then this is shaping their narrative,
Yeah.
and for them it will be like, I can't do this because they said, I can't do this because mom said or dad said or auntie said, uncle said. Until they start to experience and process for themselves, there's always
Mhm.
this thing at the back of their minds, but mommy said, or but my teacher said, or but this happened. So it's one of those things that fear can be good, right? So there's elements of fear which are good. And I'll tell kids this because there's the element of fear that stops you from walking in front of a bus, that stops you from walking into a road because you see danger, right? You see danger, and so you quickly move away.
Fight or flight, flight,
Flight of flight.
fright or flight.
That's it. So, and then there's the fear that keeps you locked in this, as I like to say, invisible cage,
Mm.
and you cannot live life to the full because you have that fear. You can't live life to the full because you're stuck in an invisible cage. And like we said in the narrative of this video, false evidence appearing real.
Mhm.
So it's not always based on a reality that has happened. Sometimes it's just something that you've formed in here. Whatever you
Mindset.
are meditating on, whatever has become the wallpaper in your mind, is forming and shaping your narrative, and therefore determining the decisions that you're making and how you're going about life.
Mm. So true. So true. So I think we spoke a lot about the root cause of fear. The root, it starts from the womb,
Mm,
and over the years as we grow, we also pick up things. But how how do we manage? How do we manage? We identified the source. How do we manage? Because a lot of people, they can be adults who fear fear success, fear failure,
mm,
fear poverty, fear relationships, fear being able to run after their dreams. So, how can we overcome the fear? How are we going to speak positive or faith narratives in our lives? Because opposite of fear is faith.
mm.
So we both are women of faith. So how can we tell our audience, or can we speak, that when we encounter fear, how to overcome this in a biblical sense, in a
Mm.
positive sense? Over to you,
So,
coach.
for those who are people of faith or people who read the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
there are over 300 verses in the Bible that talk about fear.
Mm.
And we are constantly encouraged, do not fear, do not fear, do not fear, do not fear. And the Bible also talks about renewing your mind. So for some of us, that's what we need to be doing, is renewing our minds. That might be the best place to start. For some of us, the best place to start is to take action. So the thing that you are actually afraid of, do it. So, for example, people who say, I'm afraid of public speaking, I'm scared, just go ahead and start speaking. Just go ahead and start speaking, because actually, everyone starts off being afraid of public speaking. But the more you do something, the less you're going to allow the fear to win. So being able to just release yourself to do whatever that thing is. It's like if you're afraid of heights, climb up somewhere. Just keep stretching yourself. Keep stretching yourself. Attack the fear, attack the fear, attack the fear. Don't let the fear sit there to the point that your life is now determined or governed by this fear. Don't allow fear to control your life. For some of us, we're scared of, we're scared of what people are going to say. And because we're scared of what people are going to say, we're living life below the level which God has destined for us. We're not stepping out and walking in our authority. We're not stepping out to be who God has called us to be. We're not stepping out. We're not arising into our position. We're not stepping out into purpose. We're not rising up with confidence because we're scared of what society will say, because we're scared of what community is going to say, because we're scared that we might even offend someone. And actually, those people might not even be bothered about what you're going to say. Your victory is on the other side, but you have to push past the fear. You have to be willing to say no to fear and actually arise. Step into those positions. Step into that room. What is that room that you want to be in, but you're scared that maybe you don't qualify, or you're scared that maybe you don't have the qualifications, maybe you don't speak like everybody else in the room. It doesn't matter. I tell people, as far as you have made it into the room, you qualify to be in the room. So actually deal with the fear and shine while you're in the room. Shine while you're in the room. Nobody's going to shine for you. You have to do it yourself. Fear, there will always be an element of fear. Always. But you have to push past it. They say, feel the fear and do it anyway. So yes, the fear might be there, but you go ahead and do it. There are people who can't fly because they're scared because of fear.
Mm.
I think I've shared on here before that one time I encountered a lady who was scared of learning to drive because she was thinking that when she gets into a car to drive, she's going to have an accident. Yet, she goes into the car as a passenger. But she is scared that if she drives, she's going to have an accident. And I remember at the time saying to her, I said, sorry, 2, 3 years ago, my brother passed away in a car crash. Like I said to her in that moment, I said, I should be scared of driving, but actually, I love driving. And I've been driving now for a couple of years and I've not had an accident. So don't limit yourself because you're scared of what could be. It's not what is, you're scared of what could be. You might be watching this and maybe there's a dream that you have. There's something that you want to pursue, but you're scared. You're scared that you might fail. You're scared that maybe you'll launch and nobody will say yes. Nobody will opt into what you're promoting. Give it a go. Just give it a go.
So I think it's the right time for us to speak about overcoming fear because we are entering into 2026. It's a good time for anyone out there to try something new in their lives.
Mm,
Maybe a side hustle, a little business on the side for some extra money. Try with the little oil that you have in your hands. So, you'll never know. If you have a job, we are not saying give up the job and plunge blindly. Do your research, but do something on the side and say how it will progress.
mm,
And uh, and you know what? Sometimes your business might overtake what you're doing at your work, and it might give you the total satisfaction that you need. So 2026 is a year of miracles. And this miracle is for you and I. For
mm,
everyone who is listening in, hi, Deborah. The miracle that God's going to do in our lives is for every one of us.
mm,
The action is, it's in your hands to take that action. We can't take the action. It might just need a little bit of investment on your part, investing your time,
mm,
meaning you might stop watching some of your favorite programs on Netflix, compromise on time.
mm,
But you know what? In when you invest without feeling that you know I've got nothing to lose,
mm.
nothing to lose. Take the plunge.
That's it.
This new year, take that plunge
Mm,
because fear is false evidence trying to mimic like truth. So the challenge would be the negative thoughts, as Elizabeth said, mindset.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we covered small, small beginnings. Start small. But when even in the right mindset, you can start small.
Mm,
And if you feel that anxiety and the fear coming into, trying to grip you, be mindful. In some books, they say, how do you handle fear? Breathe. These are practical things that you can do. If those who are out there who are struggling with a panic attack comes because of fear. So
mm,
they encourage breathing. Take some time to breathe, and then you will automatically feel relief. So we have always spoken about visualization, Elizabeth, vision.
mm.
Yeah, and keep visualizing the final goal, the complete picture, the complete narrative. Visualize the picture that you want to see on the canvas.
Yeah.
So this is a good time to talk about vision board, Elizabeth.
It is. It is. You know what? I love the idea of vision boards because vision boards are a way for us to allow ourselves to dream, to dream and imagine the whether it's the impossible, but it's just a case of stretching your faith. Stretching your faith. I think when we give in to fear, we are not we are not allowing our faith to grow. When we give in to fear, we're not exercising faith. Let me give an example. I'll give an example from the Bible, right? There were these friends, and they had a friend who was was he paralyzed? He was lame. He couldn't walk, and he was on a stretcher. Now, they wanted to bring him to Jesus. Jesus was in a room, it was crowded, they couldn't get in. Instead, they went to the top and they dug a hole through, they broke the
Mhm.
ceiling, and they lowered him down right through to Jesus. Now, fear could have said to them, don't do that. You can't do that. Like, what people going to think of you when you're digging this hole through? Like, it's insane. It's an insane idea. And you might be seated on an idea that seems insane to the rest of the world. You might be seated on a business idea, a non-profit idea that looks like madness to the people around you. But if you give in to fear, fear will say your idea is too crazy. My friend, sit down. Faith will say, just take one step at a time. You've
Mhm.
got this. You can do it. You're not on your own. You can do it. So you have to make a decision whether you listen to fear or you choose to listen to faith. You have to make a decision what voice you're going to listen to. Now, the voice of fear will also paint pictures of, but look at these other people who have failed. But look at all these people where it hasn't worked out for them. Oh, look at these people, they look like you and they also failed. And so you'll be thinking, people like me do not succeed in this area, and you won't push past the fear. Don't embrace fear. Fear is not there for you to embrace it, because it will limit you. It will hold you back. It will stop you from living life at your fullest potential. It will stop you from being the best version of yourself. Release yourself from fear. Shake off the chains of fear. Break free from fear and walk in the fullness of all that God has called you to be. Release yourself and be all He has called you to be. There's a big world out there, but sometimes we're too scared to explore the world because we are comfortable. And that's what fear will do. Fear will make you comfortable. It will make you comfortable, and you settle for less because of fear. But you need to develop the muscle that pushes you forward. Yes, Deborah, you push past the fear. Because if you don't, you're just going to procrastinate. That's it. It will fuel that procrastination. You have to address the narrative. Address the narrative that is going on in here in your mind. Address it, because it's only going to hold you back. If I gave in to fear, I wouldn't be doing what I do today. I actually wouldn't be doing what I do today, because I remember when I was contemplating leaving my job. This was in 2000. Yeah, in no 2020. It was in 2020. And the company I was working for made an offer. So I was working in a bank. My contract was fine. I was not leaving anytime soon. But the company made an offer and said, we want to reduce the staffing levels. This is what we can offer you if you want to leave. And fear said, Elizabeth, don't even move. We're just coming out of lockdown. People are losing jobs. You can't leave this job. You are comfortable. This is comfortable. You have a steady income coming in. You've got a little girl. Stay right where you are. But faith said, can you dare to believe God and make a move, bust a move? Leave your job and start something new. Leave your job and go and do what God has called you to do. I am where I am today because I said no to fear and I said yes to faith. I said yes to daring to believe and taking action that aligned with it. Otherwise, I would still be stuck in my 9 to 5 in the bank. I probably would not have met Kirubai. This relationship would not be happening. We would not be having confidence counter conversations. But look where we are now. Look at the work that we are doing as a result of saying yes in faith. We don't always have the full picture, but we say yes and we start taking action. And it becomes clearer as we are going, as we are progressing. For some of us, it's because the conditions are not perfect. So we're scared to make the move. Conditions will never be perfect. But don't allow fear to hold you back. Over to you, Coach K.
Thinking, I'm thinking, what's holding me back now?
I love it.
What's hold? Oh, I fear of heights actually,
Mm,
and because I've always wanted to try jumping off a airplane with a parachute, but you know what? I fear doing that,
mm.
and I pray that if I lose 50 pounds and a little lighter, I might be able to do it. You know what's the fear? The parachute might not be able to sustain my weight.
So Kirubai, you need some action. You need
Yeah,
some
what's the
action
action?
on this.
Action is to lose weight.
Have you been told that the parachute cannot hold your weight?
Of course not.
So why are you saying that the parachute will not hold your weight?
So this is this is the mindset. It's the fact remains that it can hold my weight, but my fear says it can't hold my weight.
So Kirubai, we're talking about overcoming fear right now.
Yes.
So what is one action that you can take after this conversation to start
But you
overcoming your fear of jumping out of a plane?
but you know what? I've got a naysayer in the house. No, you can't do that. So yeah. But you know what? It's not a matter of life and death. I need to get off the flight. You know what? But there are more important things in life than jumping off a plane. But for someone, it might be so important doing that action. So let the committee that speaks negative and a narration in your head put put to death.
Mm.
Put to death those narratives that say negative things, but you can't put to death your husband. So
Please don't.
that is another story for another day. But you know what? There are things that's within our control. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm.
You know, it's like riding a bicycle. A lot of people are afraid to ride a bicycle. You ask a young child these days, would you like to ride a bicycle? No, I'd rather play computer. But you know, riding a bicycle is so adventurous and it's fun. So there's so many ways we can twist and relate about fear. But I think one of the things is there's something that's so gripping I think we need to seek some support and help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Something that's really, really stopping you from achieving your dream, walking into purpose, into your destiny, and yet you know that it stems from fear, then you really need to deal with this. Some I used to have a neighbor, he's passed on. He fears going out of the house. So he lived inside that house for 40 years, not being able to step out.
Yeah.
Only when he was sick, they had to wheel him out in an ambulance.
Wow.
40 years, he didn't step out of the house. He feared stepping out of the house.
Imagine the things he missed out on by not stepping out of the
Exactly. Because you know why? Apparently, his wife stepped out of the house. She fell and broke her leg and died.
house. Oh no.
Yeah, because she was quite elderly. They're elderly couple. But they never, after that, he never stepped out of the house. So I asked the daughter, did your dad go for the funeral? She said he didn't go. The GPs came to the house. Everything was done in the house. What a life. What a life. So there are a lot of elderly people suffering from this. I know it's a bleak story,
Mm.
but if there's something that you're really struggling, go seek for help.
Yeah, I think for people who are experiencing fear as a result of past trauma that either they've experienced or they've seen someone else experience, I really encourage you to get therapy, get some counseling to help you push past that trauma. For those who just kind of the fear is there and maybe you just need a coach to help you press forward, then I encourage you to get a coach. I remember when we talk about fear, I remember years ago when I was probably, let me see, I think I
Excuse
was
me.
Janaya's age. And this was when I was still in Uganda and I was in primary school. And I remember one day waiting to be picked up from school by my dad. And a friend of mine was across the road. And she came over to where I was. And as she was making her way back, she got hit by a car. And I can still see some of that imagery in my head. Right in front of my eyes. I was about probably 7. And my friend got hit by this car. And it was a hit and run. So he hit and just kind of went and it was so bad, like her insides were literally out, her tummy was open. But someone, a good Samaritan, stopped and she was rushed to hospital. And eventually she did come back to school, but she couldn't walk properly and I don't know what other complications she had. But now that experience could have put me in a place where I can't cross the road anymore. But you know what? Sometimes because life is happening, we don't even like stop to process the trauma. We just keep going and we just push it to the back of our minds. But if you don't deal with certain issues, they will come back and you'll find yourself in a cycle. You find yourself in a cycle. You want to move forward, but there's this thing at the back of your mind that's pulling you back, that's holding you back. And until you deal with that thing at the back of your mind, you can't press forward. When I wanted to learn to drive, I had to address the fear of accidents because I learned to drive after my brother had passed away in a car accident. So I had to tell myself, if you want to drive, you have to break through this. And the reality is that life is happening all around us. Some good things, some bad things. But you can't live in a vacuum where you try to control everything, or in a vacuum where you're always thinking that bad things are going to happen to you. Because they've happened like that in the past doesn't mean they will always happen to you. Because some of us, the fear is because something bad is going to happen if I step out. Something bad is going to happen if I do this. Something bad is going to happen if I start this relationship. For some of us, we've been hurt in relationships. And because we've been hurt in relationships, we can't give anyone else a chance because of the past pain. And if you're listening to this and you're carrying that, you need to go through some healing. You need to go through some healing where you release that pain, where you release that trauma, so you can press forward. Because all you're going to end up doing is you're going to destroy anything else that you get into because you are relating it to that. But if you want to move forward, let go of certain things. Let go of the cage you have placed yourself in. There are some things that people can't do for us. We have to do ourselves. Beating fear, overcoming fear is one of those things. People can support you through the process, but they can't do it for you. You have to do it. When Jesus said to Peter, when Jesus was walking on water, and he said to Peter, "Come," Jesus did not go and carry him out of the boat and put him in the water. He said to him, "Come." And it was that word that gave Peter the courage to step out and walk on water. So if
Initially,
you need, sorry, go on,
sorry.
Kirubai.
Initially, Peter feared.
He did.
He did.
And even after he started walking,
He feared.
he then, the surroundings brought fear.
Yeah,
It was windy, the waves. He was looking around himself. He took his eyes off Jesus.
that's
He
right.
forgot that the word. He was focused on the circumstances that were happening around him. And as a result, then fear really crept in again. So I'll put it to you that fear is as a result of the things you're focusing on, the thing that's consuming your mind is what's bringing the fear. And if you change your focus, if you change what's on the wallpaper in your mind, if you change that, it can help you to beat the fear. Kirubai, if you were to give some practical steps, what are some of the things you people can do?
think when it comes to fear, and it can be generational,
Mm,
as we spoke about mother having that fear transferring to the children, or you come from an environment family where everything is don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. So it's our forefathers, our parents, our grandparents always putting a stop and putting fear into us. These are things that are coming through the generation.
mm,
So, and coming through the generation, you basically need inner healing.
mm,
So as you spoke about things at the back of our mind, things that are bugging us subconsciously, and you would need to go through some inner healing, pulling out the roots of that fear. So it's very simple, taking it to the Lord and saying, Lord, I pull out that root in Jesus' name.
amen.
But it has to be a place where you voluntarily want that change.
Mm,
Nobody can do that for you. It has to be in your free will, in our own free will, to accept that healing in that area. It's as simple as that. That action of seeking for inner healing.
mm,
And that can translate to your breakthrough. Many people say, oh, you don't need this because once you come to the Lord, everything is broken. But it's not so,
mm,
because we have to work out a salvation with fear and trembling. So these are things that hold us back, because sometimes even wrong theology. Oh, I'm delivered because once I accept the Lord, I'm delivered. But then you're not moving forward.
mm,
You're not taking action. You're having this negative committee in your head always telling you you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. So we talk and identify the root cause of these problems.
mm,
So you can seek help from the church you relate to, somebody who can pray for you. I mean, I do that all the time for women who have trauma. I pray with them. I seek I seek their permission to pray and break these things over their lives.
mm,
So there is always a way. It's never, never, never not possible. God has made a way for us to be free, and He wants us to enjoy the abundance of life.
mm.
So this year, as we finish this year and we enter into 2026, what's holding you back? Sobering thought.
Sobering indeed. One of the words that's coming to mind, and this might be for someone who is watching us today. I hear the word hurt.
Mm,
It could be that you've experienced some hurt in your past, whether that's hurt through family members, whether that's hurt with relationships, whether that's even church hurt. You might be watching this, and there's a fear. There's a fear to build new relationships because you've been hurt and you don't know how to trust people anymore. Or maybe you were part of a congregation and something happened, and so you walked out of church because you were hurt. Maybe family members have done things that have hurt you. And maybe you've even put yourself in that place where you've said, I can never forgive this. I just want you to take some time to address that before you go into 2026. Use this month of December to address the heart that you're carrying, to address the pain that you're carrying, to address the offense, the unforgiveness. Address it, because that in itself is bringing about a fear. That in itself is causing you to fear because you're scared that you're going to be hurt again. But because you're in that place, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you're missing out on a lot more. You're not living the life that you could be living. You're not enjoying the relationships you could be enjoying. You don't even have the community that you could have around you. There's a lot of people out there who have been hurt. And I think I hear about church hurt a lot more nowadays.
Mm.
So you might be watching this and that's your thing that you're dealing with. Don't let that hurt rob you of a better version of you, a better version of life. Deal with it. If that means you need to see a therapist, go see a therapist. If that means you need to ask for prayer, ask for prayer. There is work that you must do so you can push past the fear and step into the faith zone. Some people say they can't get into a new relationship, right? And so they're single, they want to marry, they want somebody in their lives, but because they've been hurt in the past, they're scared. And so even if somebody approaches them, they say no because they're scared. So I don't know what hurt you're dealing with, but address it. Don't ignore it. Address it. We cannot change if we're not acknowledging that change needs to happen. Address it and move forward. Any final words, Kirubai?
No. I think we got to call it a day.
Yes,
Just feeling just about right time for me to call it a day,
absolutely.
given the circumstances. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you very much for joining us today. Like, share, subscribe. Let other people get this episode. And if you need to reach out to us, if there's something that we've touched on that maybe has triggered something for you, and you need to have a deeper conversation about it, please feel free to reach out to us. But thank you so much for joining us this evening, and God bless you.
Bless you.